Hey guys, Utility Disc Golf here. I'm Tanner.
And I'm Nick.
And today we're out reviewing the Dynamic Disc Maverick.
Yes, this is the newest released disc from Dynamic Disc, a flippy to straight fairway driver we've all been hearing great things about. You want to know about it, we want to know about it. So without further ado, let's get into it.
So let's get into the look and feel of the Maverick. We have it in the Lucid plastic from Dynamic, so it's going to be that durable plastic. It's very stiff right now, but it is 45 degrees out. So getting into those summer months, I could feel this being very grippy. Because of that dome, I could feel like I could really get my fingers into it. Flipping the disc over, it has a shallow to medium depth rim, and the rim width is on the smaller side. So for me, I like to modify power grip this disc, but if you have smaller hands or like to power grip your mid-ranges, I can see a power grip being utilized as well and get a lot of good snap. Because of the dome, this thing has a ton of glide, so let's get into those throws and see how it goes.
Alright guys, so the Dynamic Disc Maverick, the first thing I noticed about it when I threw it backhand was that this disc definitely has some flip to it. Throwing it flat, it would have some slow panning right turn into this headwind that we had out in the field with about 10 miles an hour. It exaggerated the turn a bit more, but we have thrown this Maverick without wind, and on a flat release, it would go right, and it would hold that disc really nicely. If your arm speed's not as fast, you may notice some stability out of it, and especially since it's a little faster in your mid-ranges, you might notice some small amount more ground play, maybe some skips, but just a very small amount of those. Throwing it on a hyzer is where I really liked it. It would flip up flat and just go forever, guys. The dominess really shined through, and it would just kind of like parachute through the air. It seemed like it wouldn't lose any distance, even though it was spinning a little bit slower towards the end of its flight. It kept pushing forward. Anhyzers, it would hold that Annie line. With the wind though, it did exaggerate it and turning it into a roller a bit more, which I could see for people with faster arm speeds. But overall, I really like this Maverick, guys. Flippy to straight, and it has a ton of glide with it.
Alright, so I threw the Maverick on some forehands today. I was thrown into about an 8 to 10 mile an hour headwind, so the flights you see in the video are a little bit more exaggerated than you'd find on a calm day. That being said, the Maverick is basically only able to be thrown on a very extreme hyzer angle. Maybe without a headwind, you could throw it a little bit more flat, but thrown today, I had to throw it on an extreme hyzer angle. It would pop up to flat, carry left, sometimes finish left, but most of the time it would come back a little bit at the end. This isn't going to be a forehand disc for most people unless you have a very slow forehand game. What I could see this being useful for is in the woods when you can't throw a backhand because you're behind a tree or some obstacle, and you can only pop out to the right and get a forehand angle on it. Being an understable disc, you can manipulate the way it ends depending on how much speed you throw with it or the angle, so you can make it end left or end right. And with it being very domey, the glide is going to carry out and you're going to get a lot of distance even though you're not throwing it very hard. So I really like the Maverick for those touch shots in the woods.
Alright guys, so that's a review on the Dynamic Disc Maverick. If we had to say one thing about the disc, we noticed that it was a flippy fairway driver, which was great, especially for beginners and even veteran players. If you're a beginner, you're probably going to notice you're going to be getting more distance than you ever had, straight flight, even maybe a little turn out of it, and not a ton of fade, which is great. You're not going to be skipping, flying around, hooking to the left or right if you're left-handed, that you might notice that beginners are kind of having to struggle with when they're out on the course. For a veteran player, this is probably going to be something you're going to love for the woods. Effortless distance with a hyzer flip. You're going to be able to control and manipulate it based on how much arm speed you have or speed you put on the disc. So this is just going to be a great disc for everybody to try out. Don't be afraid to pick one up if you've been playing for a long time. You'll be pleasantly surprised with the Dynamic Disc Maverick. Where could you see this fitting into your bag, Tanner?
Yeah, like you're saying, this is going to fit into my hyzer flip fairway driver spot. Something that I can use in the woods, really manipulate those flights like you were talking about. Depending on the angle and how much snap I put on the disc, I can make the disc end left, or I can right, or make the disc end left, depending on how much power I put behind it. It's also a great disc for those forehand flicks, like I talked about earlier. Same thing with that, you can manipulate the way it ends, and with the glide, it's going to go really far without having to throw very hard.
Totally. I can't wait to try this thing out in some different plastic types. We have it in the Lucid plastic now, but I think I've even seen some burst plastics out there already.
Yeah.
So make sure to be on the lookout for those other other plastics as well. Thank you, Dynamic, for sending this out to us. Be on the lookout for the Maverick now, probably at all the online retailers, dynamicdisc.com, and hopefully at your local disc golf stores soon. And if your disc golf store is a Dynamic buyback retailer, it may already be there.
Yep.
So go check that out, guys.
Yeah, so if you guys like the video, please leave a like. Subscribe to our YouTube channel because we come out with videos about every week. We also have a podcast called the Stay Fly Podcast. That comes out about once a week as well. We do giveaways on our podcast and on our YouTube channel. You can see those giveaway posts on our Facebook and our Instagram. So be sure to follow Utility Disc Golf on all your social media platforms.
Yeah, that's great, Tanner. So, all right, guys, until next time, stay fly.